Hello, friends. It's Chapo.
Or if we get shot down. So I will be giving up my life, but creating a 6'4" son, hopefully, with $30 million.
Podcast died. It was singing bye bye. Okay,
But seriously, Peter Berg will be executed.
that is correct. That is correct, Felix. The movie we are bringing you is the second in the Peter Berg series. Which years ago began with the classic film and one of my favorite Chapo episodes, Patriots Day, the Boston bombing movie.
Yep.
The episode that involved me accidentally taking a 100-milligram edible and being in a movie theater when Kevin Bacon started talking to us. The real, actual Kevin Bacon in the movie theater. Patriots Day, one of my favorite Chapo movie episodes. We'll see how this one goes. The movie we're bringing you is a movie that offered the America of 2012 a glimpse at an alternate universe, a scenario that might have been, where rather than the mega comic book cinematic universes that we are that dominate today's popular culture landscape, we could have had a board game based cinematic universe, perhaps with competing Hasbro cinematic universe, Parker Brothers cinematic universe,
Milton Bradley, and of course all of the smaller studios and independents that would get all of those public domain games like chess and checkers,
Go,
and Parcheesi. Yes, the classic game of Go.
The ancient Chinese game of Go.
Yeah.
No, the movie is Battleship. Peter Berg's Battleship, a Hasbro film.
Yes. So during the Bush era and the Bungler, that period, that is when we went from having the classic Hollywood understanding where there would be a bunch of movies that would come out and you'd throw stuff at a wall and you see what stuck, and you just sort of do that every year. But because of the changing economics of film during this period, the second Bush term to O'Bungler, Hollywood starts going around for a new business model to deal with their new reality, and that one requires radically increasing the size of movie budgets while reducing the risk associated with any specific film, and that meant intellectual property, and that meant specifically intellectual property owned by the studio. So where is it going to come from? Where in the big bin of stuff people have heard of are we going to go? And there were three big options. One was toys. And the big exponent of that we got was Transformers, of course. Michael Bay's Iraq War, basically. He spent about as much time and about as much money trying to get America to care about the Transformers and to make it like a cultural thing. And it never happened. And it was a huge disaster. So that was his Iraq War. But other than those movies and the G.I. Joe movies, which are only kind of barely hits, there was no real. It didn't get a gusher. Then of course we've got comic books, which that exploded.
Iron Man came out in 2008, so the Marvel Cinematic Universe is already 40 years into Project A or whatever the fuck they were calling that shit back then. But yeah. This was the
They were casting about.
They were casting about.
Okay, what else
can we
is
do? What other than comic books?
Yeah,
comic books and old cartoon shows and stuff. And the answer: board games.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of budgets, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia for Battleship. It says here Battleship was greenlit with a production budget of $150 million, but went through a troubled pre-production. Universal at one point considered canceling the film, which would have resulted in a $30 million loss. However, new chairman Adam Fogelson decided the studio would lose less money if they increased the budget of the film instead of outright canceling it.
Step on the fucking gas.
Jared Fogelson coming in clutch. So yeah, this movie, product of great waste. If we had just spent 3 times the budget of this movie, we could refill the missiles in the Iron Dome. But this was. How do I, just short glance, how do I describe this movie, Leonard Maltin style? This is a movie for people with no internal monologue and no memory of events more than a minute past them. This is,
this is all of Oliver Sacks's Patience and Awakenings. This is the movie for them.
We watch a lot of bad movies for this show. We watch a lot of mediocre things. We will watch a lot of good things. It's very rare that a thing we watch makes me severely depressed. The last time it happened was when we watched the Warcraft movie, which I think is made for I guess, middle class children in China who just Adderall's not working for them. They're just supposed to watch the Warcraft movie, and this is worse than that.
I
This is
honestly,
worse.
he said that earlier. He said this reminds me of the Warcraft movie, and I had a moment where I thought, have I seen that? And then I remembered, no, we did an episode about it.
Yeah, with
Branson was on it.
Branson.
I'm pretty sure I was on that episode, so that means I saw it. But I swear to God, I remember nothing about it.
I don't remember anything except waking up in a clock tower with a rifle.
Well, I guess my Sandy Kenyon style review of Battleship is, run, don't walk to see Battleship. It's the movie that'll make you forgive the Japanese for attacking Pearl Harbor.
That is a lot of the subtext of this movie. That's probably the most interesting thing about this movie, the Pearl Harbor connections.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this movie really makes more sense as like a veiled movie about Japan and the United States allying against China, because we'll talk about it. The aliens in this movie are there's even though they are able to travel interstellar dimensional space, their tech, their physiognomy, they're basically humans, only slightly different.
Yeah,
it's basically the way Asian people were viewed in films until like 5 minutes ago. You know, like you could see that as sort of the subtext here, because it's not really, they aren't aliens. They're just people with like weird gecko eyes.
And I would extend that analogy, the China analogy, that's definitely how Peter Berg sees it, to the alien technology, very similar to a TCL TV, where you get it and you're like, oh my God, this is like a great alien battleship. I'm getting an entire 60-inch TV for $370 and it's got Roku built in. 4 years later, you try to load up HBO Max and it just, your TV turns off and the woman's yelling at you because you brought your TV
saying,
to
I want to watch
house.
Euphoria, Felix.
Yeah, you brought your TV to her house because you said, I have Euphoria on my TV. And she's like, I'm rushing a sorority at UCLA. I was born in 2002, and you're like, well, I'm actually going to be a director soon. And then she's like, how come you have a 4-year-old TCL TV that doesn't work? And I say, well, it's a lot like Peter Berg's Battleship. And she says, that came out when I was 10 years old. This is a real thing that happened. This is exactly what I do in my life.
At one point, Felix, you said this movie sounds like it was written by a Chinese television.
It may, in fact, have been.
But Matt, a little bit earlier, you said the magic word aliens.
Yes.
Now, it's like the problem for Universal and studios casting about for like something to compete with the Star Wars and Marvel mega franchises, and happening upon board games, is essentially, how do you make a board game as mind-numbingly boring and childish as Battleship into a fun, exciting action movie?
Right.
A quick side note for listeners of the show: the last time I played Battleship was actually losing to Ian Fidance.
Whoa!
Yes. That was the last time I played Battleship. But obviously, Ian, very funny guy, but the game was interminable. How do you make this into a dynamic, exciting motion picture? Well, the answer is aliens.
Yeah.
And we could have said, like, the studios could have taken this in a lot of different directions, like the game of Operation. Make it a movie about
like humans getting abducted and operated on by aliens.
Oh, I was thinking like a John Q type movie. You killed my son because you tried to have a wacky surgery. You took my son's money bone out and killed him.
Okay, how about this?
You could do a Saw style horror movie too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Waking up on the operation table, you got to like operate on yourself with a machine or something.
Okay, how about this one? Hungry Hippos. The aliens arrive on Earth in giant battle mechs, like sort of Evangelions, Avas, but they're hippo shaped, and they just chomp up cities, and they have to stop the hippos from being hungry.
Right.
I think we all, unfortunately, before this episode even started, when we knew this is the episode we were going to do, we all basically arrived at the same joke about the Life board game movie.
Terrence Malick's The Game of Life.
You had Terrence Malick. I had David O. Russell. Matt, what did you have?
Alexander Payne. How would that be?
Okay, yeah.
Nice and depressing.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, Ridley Scott was attached to a Monopoly
Yes,
movie.
that is 100% true.
That would have been really fucking.
Yeah.
I would have liked that, I think.
That thing was in development forever, and I think that this movie had a lot to do with it dying. Like This is why I'm saying there's another universe where this movie succeeded, and honestly, when you look at the shit that does succeed, this is terrible, but it's not.
It's no like this movie
It's
is no
worse than the shit that
fucking
people
Doctor
like.
Strange or fucking no. This movie is a billion times better than the Eternals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is light years better than that movie.
I disagree.
Really?
Okay.
No, I mean, okay, I am on record as like hating those fucking movies. The Neo Marvel movies, like horrible, like depressed me. Similarly to the Warcraft movie, had a terrible experience watching Infinity War, but you know, nothing in this movie fits together. I mean, okay, we were talking about the board game Life. You know this way that you view the world when you're a kid, where you think like Doonesbury is a special comic strip for adults,
And it is though. It should be in the editorial section, not the comic section.
It wasn't my
as my grandfather
my
once told me.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, you know, digression to a digression. I always thought like when I'm older, well, I think it's funny that the hats are talking, but like, okay, like stuff like that, or like, you know, the board game Life. I thought like, oh, I guess that's like what my parents play when they send me to bed. 5, because it's just like so complex, I guess.
It seemed very boring to me. I never wanted to play Life.
But this is, you know, even when I was 7 playing Battleship, I was like, this is such a game.
It's very boring.
Yeah.
That was
It's
the
just a
problem. Is the thing-
shitty
it's like
game.
this game is boring to play.
You say a letter and a number,
Yeah.
and then it's either hit or miss.
Yeah.
And you go through like a while of getting
Yep.
miss. Then you get a hit.
Yep.
Then you get then it's just like it's a matter of time before you sink a ship. That's it.
It's Go Fish
It's
with
just-
artificial
yeah, exactly.
What it is literally just a process of elimination. There's no real thought to
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Like there are a few. I'm going to go this
just
way.
guessing.
Or I'm gonna
There's
go
no
that way.
skill
It's
whatsoever.
a data entry job for children.
Yes, that is
And
exactly
it's-
what playing that game feels like.
And it's like, yeah, it's Go Fish with artificial depth, and the artificial depth is like the fucking bullshit that you have. And this movie felt the exact same way.
Yeah, and I think there might be another world where this movie succeeds, and if it did, then the Monopoly movie gets made. Then we get a Clue remake, bringing Clue back in the film.
Well, the original Clue movie is
Actually pretty good,
actually a
yeah.
very
Okay.
great movie.
Well, that is a board game that, I mean, more than almost any, lends itself to the concept of
Yeah.
the movie. It literally is a story that you participate in.
Yeah.
But Mousetrap. We would get all of them, different genres, different flavors.
Diplomacy movie.
Yeah,
might
Risk.
be,
We would get Risk, and it would be aliens against the Napoleonic army. And you might say,
Pretty
"Oh,
dope.
that's ridiculous."
No, it's pretty
But
dope.
I'm sorry, it's not any more ridiculous than the army in than our navy in this movie against aliens.
Right.
They
That
have
is
the
the
same
most
shot.
absurd thing
They
about
have
this
the
film.
same chance.
It is the most absurd and infuriating thing about this movie that it just gets under my skin as watching is that the attempt to make the aliens in any way like the match of the
An
humans.
interstellar civilization
Well, okay, that
is defeated by a World War II era battleship
Spoiler
at the end of
alert.
this movie. Spoiler alert.
counter argument. The premise is like no more shitty than like any of the existing Marvel movies. It's exactly as insulting. What is the premise of the Avengers movies? Oh, the purple guy is gonna get all his jewelry, and then he's just gonna solve the agriculture crisis. I guess that's the plot. That's all these movies have idiotic plots. Doctor Strange is like, a surgeon sat on his hand in a weird way in a
And
jet
then
blue.
jacked himself off.
He jacked himself off.
Called the Friendly Stranger.
He got caught in the JetBlue bathroom. He didn't book a Mosaic ticket and was in the Mosaic bathroom. Big problem. They won't let him be a doctor anymore. So now he has to be a scary doctor. All these movies are insulting.
Friendly Doctor Stranger.
Yeah, but like this movie, like the way the characters relate to each other, the dialogue, the choices that everyone makes, it is Alien. This was a movie written, produced, and conceived by aliens. This is, I mean, there is a Joss Whedon soyness to Marvel movies, but it's at least something I can put my hands on and understand. I cannot understand the things in between aliens and battleships in this movie.
Okay, fellas, let's dive in.
Yes.
Let's play Battleship.
Let's do it. Let's play Battleship.
So, the film begins with sort of a brief preamble setting up the intergalactic stakes of this board game / movie. The movie establishes that something called the Beacon International Project has used a network of satellites to send a signal into deep space to a recently discovered Goldilocks planet. We all know the Goldilocks planet.
Of course.
A planet that is just far enough from the sun
Getting
in its
eaten
solar
by
system
bears.
to
What?
have an atmosphere, gravity, and a temperature roughly comparable to our own planet. And okay, done, established. There are aliens in the movie, so you won't be surprised when they show up later. They have named the planet. It is called Planet G, Planet Top G. It's
G-Unit.
the Andrew Tate planet.
Yeah.
It's the War Room planet.
Yeah, that is, you get a great referral code if you send people to that planet.
What message are we sending into deep space? Brandy, go to sleep. And whom want beer?
I'm the nice boy whomst is the booster and earns him cocktails.
Okay, so the intergalactic stakes are established. Then who do we see saddling up at the bar? It's America's heartthrob, Taylor Kitsch. This is the movie that was going to make Taylor Kitsch a star.
Yeah, he had 2 bites of the apple. He had this one and John Carter of Mars.
Oof. Yeah.
2 strikes, you're out, boy. At the end of the day, yes, bad luck with the projects, but he had the small screen charisma. He's like John Hamm or Tom Jane, guys who are really good on TV shows, but just they can't carry a movie. I'm sorry.
And I actually like Taylor Kitsch quite a bit. I think he's good. And obviously Tim Riggins lives in all of our hearts forever.